This probably is the worst one out of everything we've tried today. They should be renaming it Abomination because that honestly was really bad. Will arouse your taste buds and leave you pining for more. Okay. What's up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm back once again with more snacks for me to try, so you guys and girls know if it's worth your time and money to venture all the way out there into the wild just to purchase these items and try them for yourselves. Yeah, before we move on, if you're new to the channel or haven't done so already, do consider subscribing because it really helps the channel. We're almost at 8,000 subscribers, and if we could hit that, that'd be pretty sweet. As for everyone else who has already subscribed or been with the channel for the past year, well, none of this would have been possible without your support, so thank you for that. So with that out of the way, let's try some snacks. So first up, we have a few bags of chips from Savor Smith, who are the masters of flavor and favor, according to them at least. We'll be starting off with their Wagyu beef and honey mustard flavored chips, because I think this might be the most disappointing out of the three. Based off my past experiences, regardless of what they put on the packaging, be it some sort of special bacon or whatever Wagyu beef, Kobe beef, they all sort of end up tasting a bit like barbecue sauce, so I'm not really expecting too much when it comes to this bag. Now, according to the packaging, these are luxurious hand-cooked British snacks with style. They are MSG free, gluten free and dairy free, which is a bit ironic given that the front of the packaging has a cow. I will say that their choice of design for the mascot on the front of their bags of chips are quite interesting. They're quite quirky, so I hope this translates to the actual flavor of the chips. This is made of potatoes, sunflower oil, onion, just onion, nothing else, not onion powder, not dried onion, just onion, dried Yucatan honey, which is something I'm not familiar with, garlic powder, ground mustard seeds, cooked Wagyu beef powder, dried lemon juice, pimento, which is something I'm also not familiar with, cinnamon, and star anise. So according to the back, we've rounded up mouth-watering flavors of well-marbled Wagyu beef and introduced them to sweet notes of honey mustard. So yes, our beef is really quite special. Quite bold claims for a bag of chips. Let's give it a try. They smell of regular chips, nothing overly beefy, nothing overly sweet. Okay, I will say that the chips are quite large, much larger than I expected. They don't seem to be as oily as I would say the Keo brand from the previous videos, but a potato chip is still a potato chip. I mean, come on, you're not going to call this healthy, are you? Surprisingly, they're not too bad. What it tastes like is sort of like a generic meaty flavor. Now, it isn't distinctively Wagyu beef, and if I didn't tell you it was Wagyu beef, you probably would not know. In a similar vein, you probably wouldn't be able to guess that it was honey mustard. Now, I know all these things sound a bit negative, but the overall flavor, despite it being quite generic, is fairly pleasant. It doesn't taste like barbecue flavor, which is great for once, because every other meat flavor I've tried basically just tastes of barbecue sauce. I guess as a bag of chips, they're decent enough for me to say that I'm willing to finish the whole bag, but calling them Wagyu beef honey mustard chips is quite a stretch. Next bag. So next up, we have the Italian cheese and port flavored potato chips. For those of you who don't know what port is, it's basically a sort of sweet dessert red wine. And I guess for those of you who are in Australia, you might be more familiar with the name Tawny. Once again, the design choice is pretty quirky, with a fox that looks like it's seen some shit, and he's holding some, I would say, port and Italian cheese, probably Parmigiano Reggiano. It's made from potato, sunflower oil, dried cheese milk, sea salt, yeast extract, red wine, vinegar, Italian hard cheese, obviously from cow's milk, sugar, blackcurrant extract, interesting, maltodextrin, dried sprint vinegar, natural flavoring, ruby port, potato things, white pepper, acidity, blah blah blah. From the looks of the ingredients list, this may actually end up tasting a bit more like a red wine flavor or some sort of sea salt and vinegar. The chip more or less looks the same as the previous bag, which is not really surprising, so let's give it a try. Okay, that was pretty interesting. So far, I will say that both bags have been pretty decent. So the chips taste pretty close to what it says on the packaging, in that you would be able to say that it's red wine and cheese. Despite the acidic and slightly vinegary smell, it's a lot less sour than I had expected. Now that's not to say that this isn't a vinegary bag of chips. It definitely has that vinegar aftertaste, which is something that you would probably say is red wine vinegar. And the initial hit of flavor definitely has a hint of cheese. It doesn't have the cheaper cheese flavoring that you might find on things such as Twisties, nachos, Doritos, cheese balls, even roller coaster if you know what those are. Not to say that these are bad snacks, I actually really enjoy them, but they did say they are using Italian cheese, and although I wouldn't really be able to say it's specifically Italian cheese, I would be able to say that it isn't cheap cheese flavoring. Overall, it's a pretty decent bag of chips, which is something I rarely say, and if you're a fan of red wine vinegar chips or sea salt and vinegar, and you don't mind trying something that might be a bit different, a bit more premium tasting, you could go try this particular flavor. Yeah, next bag of chips. For the final bag of chips, we have the truffle and rosemary flavored potato chips. I saved this bag for last because it sounded the most premium, and even though I'm not the biggest fan of truffle flavored everything, the previous two bags were pretty decent, so I have decent hopes for this one. This flirty coupling of black Italian summer truffles and rosemary will arouse your taste buds and leave you pining for more. Okay. According to the ingredients, potato, sunflower oil, mushroom extract, salt, rice flour, onion, once again, yeast extract, natural flavoring, which no one knows what that actually is, rosemary, garlic powder, thyme, blah blah blah. Okay, there's dried black truffle powder, so there should be some sort of truffle flavor here, which I'm hoping is not overly petroly or overly chemically. Yeah, let's give it a try. Okay, I will say this smells pretty good. Now, you definitely have the truffle, but it's not a punch in your face, and you're able to smell the rosemary, which is always very nice. Find a big boy. Right, we got ourselves a big boy. The chips are more or less the same as the previous two bags. So this one is slightly puffed, which is a nice touch. If you've ever made pomme souffle, then you would know how this sort of happens, which is quite nice. Well, unfortunately, despite its big claims, this was the weakest of all the bags. There's barely any truffle flavor, and the rosemary flavor only appears right at the end after you're done chewing and I guess swallowing the chip. The flavor isn't very pleasant because it's very vegetal, very raw. Imagine taking a sprig of rosemary, biting off the leaves and just chewing that. That's basically what this tastes like right at the end. But before the rosemary flavor hits, all you taste is potato. I was expecting more of a truffle flavor, a bit more sweetness, a bit more saltiness, a bit more depth of flavor, but all there is here is vegetal rosemary aftertaste, which is honestly quite disappointing given that it smelled pretty good. Would not recommend this one, like this is a big no-no. The only flirting this bag will be doing is with the bin because it's honestly quite bad, so yeah. No, don't buy this, just stay away from this one, go for the other two flavors if you really want to. This is a no. So next up we have the wasabi flavored Kitkat, which I'm honestly a bit apprehensive about because, well, we all know how wasabi tastes like, not to be confused with the horseradish powder that most Japanese restaurants serve. I mean, fresh wasabi is great and all, and that goes with savory items, sashimi, beef, stuff of that nature, but I don't know how well it will pair with white chocolate, so yeah, let's give it a try. Well, it's a small packet, and it sort of has this have a break, have a Kit Kat sort of thing, so I guess you can write your name or someone else's name and give it away as a gift. Or, I mean, depending on how this tastes like, it may not actually be a gift. Looks like that. Camera, there we go. Which just looks like a small Kit Kat. YOLO, I guess. How do I describe this? It tastes of cheap white chocolate with a very, very, very mild hint of wasabi right at the end. As with many other snacks, if I didn't tell you there was wasabi there, you probably wouldn't notice as well. It's not bad, it's just that the chocolate used seems a bit cheaper than what they usually use for their usual white chocolate flavored Kit Kat. It's not bad, it's just not what the packaging says. I mean, it is sort of what it says, but it's barely noticeable. Next snack. And finally, we have the Choco Banana flavored Kit Kat, which is clearly themed after the Minions, and I'm sure all of you know these guys. Apparently, it's in conjunction with the movie The Rise of Gru, so I'm guessing this has probably been out for quite some time. Definitely a bigger bar than the wasabi flavored Kit Kat. Let's give it a try. I mean, the banana flavor is really strong. I don't know why they chose to use this sort of plastic where it doesn't tear easily and has this annoying film, especially when it comes to chocolate, because you're trying not to crush it. Whoever made these please reconsider your packaging. The smell of banana is that, I want to say, the very, very strong chemically smelling flavoring. So this might actually be quite bad. So it's very sweet, and the chemically banana aroma thing is not helping. It's making it feel almost numbing, if that makes sense. The chocolate is very cheap, and I don't remember if Kitkat used such cheap chocolate, or if it's only for these sort of fancy novelty flavors. It's gonna be a no from me. I like bananas as a fruit, but when it comes to adding banana flavoring to things, it just becomes very awkwardly chemically, which I think most people don't like. This probably is the worst one out of everything we've tried today. It's borderline disgusting. 1 out of 10 if there was a rating. Well, maybe they should be renaming it Abomination, because that honestly was really bad. I don't know if this was marketed at kids, but I like to think that even kids know what good tasting chocolate is and what trash is, and that definitely was trash. So that's going in the bin. Do not recommend it. Don't buy it for your kids. Don't buy it for anyone. Unless you really don't like them, then by all means just buy it. So that's basically all the snacks I have for today. For me, the best two were the Italian cheese and pork chips, followed by the beef flavored chips. So yeah, that's basically it for today. If you liked the video or learned something new, hit that like button and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Also, if you're new to the channel, feel free to browse everything else, because we have tutorials, we have recipes, which are technically also tutorials, other product reviews, and reaction videos, maybe? I guess that's somewhere around. Either way, that's all I have for you today, and I'll see you beautiful people in the next video.